Um, so I know obviously last week was the Thanksgiving holiday and all that. But since the last time we spoke, did you make any progress on
Um, I got
project?
some progress.
Okay.
I got stumped designing like the table.
Okay.
Like I was watching tons of YouTube videos, but everybody had like a different way of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but what really stumped me was the nested rows. So
Okay.
did you want to start or
Yeah, let's go right ahead. So let me allow you to share your screen. All right, and I think I'm in your file. So yeah, let's take a look at that. All right.
all right, so where am I at? Um, so I mean the first things was the desktop or the dashboard layout.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then the drop down and filtering mechanisms down here. So above, you'll see them above the table here.
Mm-hmm.
And I got the toggle view for spline view and table view.
Okay. So let me ask you, right now, from the looks of this, it looks like you're actively on the spline view by toggle, but the data is actually table view. So my question is,
So it should say
did you
like table.
mean, yeah, it should say table view right there. And then my question is, as far as the interaction design, right? When I click on that and click off to go to spline view, will that wording change to spline view? And then if I click it on or toggle it on, it'll change to table view. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, so I saw it as like it's telling you that if you toggle this, it'll take you to spline view, right? And so it'll I guess like right now. Well, yeah, I guess since I don't have the colors, it confused me. So
Well, not
right
even
now
the
it should be
colors,
like
but the text is like right
telling me,
now, yeah, the text says spline, but the
yeah,
view isn't spline.
okay,
You see what I'm saying?
yeah,
So like if you were to leave it like this, it would technically be like this.
table
So
view.
now table view is toggled on and we're seeing the table view.
Okay,
And so my question is, right, if I'm gonna move this out of here like that,
yeah.
if I go spline view and this needs to be
It's not a component. I
oh,
did that
okay.
my components
Okay.
and then just so I could change the colors and everything.
I see what you're saying. Okay. Well, let me do what is this here?
I think you can flip it horizontally.
Oh, okay. So yeah, this is what I meant by interaction, right? So if I toggle off, the text would say spline, but when I toggle on, the text is going to say table view. Is that what you're
Okay,
thinking?
yeah.
Okay. I
Well,
think that's
like the what I was thinking was it was saying spline, so toggle here to go to spline, right?
okay. Yeah.
But now
Mhm.
that you're like, I guess talking about it, yes, it makes sense to show you the actual thing that you're showing, right? Like, say you're in table view, show it.
Right, because this is you're changing the view of the data.
Hmm.
So, if the toggle view is turned on, then I mean not toggle. If the table view is toggled on, show the table. If the spline view is toggled on, show spline. What
Hmm.
I will say, I don't think it's impossible, but to do this interaction, but I will say it's not very standard, right? So toggles are usually they're on and off switches, right?
Yeah.
So when something's on or off, the text isn't changing, right? So if anything, what you could do is is more or less like a tab structure. So you have tabs and like on the left is table and then on the right is spline, right? And you can use buttons for that, right?
Okay.
So I would say this is a good start, but like research some more like tabbing
Stand-
type structure. It doesn't have to be the tab where it's like traditional where it's underlined, right? It doesn't
mhm.
have to be that. It can actually be buttons. So you could still keep like this button view, right? You could do like two buttons and they're icons, right? So one's a table icon and then the other is like a windy spline looking view, right? And then so you click one, you're on the table, you click the other one, but they don't change. You know what I'm saying? They're still there. So there's a couple ways to do it. But usually when it comes to like toggling like the or toggle on and off switches, the
Mhm.
text isn't gonna change much. It's here is
Okay.
the setting, turn it on or off. Here's the setting, turn it on or
Oh,
off. That's usually what this
so it
toggle
would be
switch.
more as like a title to the toggle and not.
Correct. Correct. So, because use these toggles typically, I mean, you see these toggles a lot in like settings pages, right? So,
Yeah,
like,
they're right here in the Figma. That's the one
mm,
I was looking at, the one that takes you to
mm-hmm.
dev mode.
Right, right.
Mhm.
So, exactly. So that right there is one toggle for one setting. That's dev mode, and you're turning it on or off. But you notice, like, the icon isn't changing when you toggle on and off.
Right.
It's just one. You know what I'm saying? Now the menu options when you toggle that on might change.
Mhm.
But typically with the toggles switch, that's what it's called. It's a toggle switch. And it's literally turning something on or off.
Okay.
hmm So
I have to play with some other
yeah, something
solutions.
to think about it. I would say, again, I'm trying to think, trying to look at my phone right now, see an example of like of what I'm talking about. But keep going, keep going. You get the idea. I'll throw some examples or something in there for you.
And then, I got the bulk actions, the show hide. I had a couple
hmm
questions.
hmm
Um, the nested rows, and then, yeah, search bar. So I didn't see
hmm
one in the Jira ticket, but in all of the table examples that I looked into on how to build one, they all had one. So is it like standard to have a search bar? I mean, I see like why they would have it. But if it
hmm
was a Jira ticket, is it something that we would propose or
That
leave
could
it
be
out
something.
of Jira
Exactly.
ticket?
That could be something you propose. Yeah. Like, hey, because you got to think too, like, this is a shit ton of data, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
somebody is probably going to want to search a large amount of data. So
Mhm.
the search component is something that we would ask, like, hey, I noticed in the requirements there isn't search functionality in here. Is that something
Yeah.
that we want to explore or test out, or do we not want people to search the data?
Mhm. Okay. Um, so do we add it or just leave
I
it
mean,
out?
yeah, I mean, my thing is, I think let's see how you propose it. So
O
definitely, put it in there.
okay. Cool, cool. It's just something I noticed.
hmm
Um, and then the filter button. So
Okay.
the show hide, would that be considered the filter button? Or I guess drop the filter action? Or
Uh-huh.
would we need a filter button to, I guess, do something else besides just selecting these.
Yeah. So that's a great question. So was filter in the requirements?
No, I didn't see it.
Okay,
Um,
yeah. So that's one that's adding. So the show and hide is technically the filtering.
okay,
Yeah.
because it felt like it, but it just didn't have that verbiage.
Yeah.
Um,
So yeah, that could just be a labeling, you know what I'm saying?
mhm,
Show hide could definitely be relabeled to filter, and that's literally all you're doing is just hiding and showing.
okay, and then the edit button
Hmm.
here. I saw some where they have like where you can select multiple rows and then edit all of the selected ones at once.
Hmm.
Uh, but I didn't see an edit again. I didn't see an edit button in the Jira ticket. So is it just another thing I would propose?
So there is a requirement for inline editing.
Right.
Okay,
And I
so you
saw
already
those.
got that in there. So that's what
Yeah.
the pin icon is for.
Mhm.
Um, what you're talking about when you select multiple, that's a bulk action. So you're bulk editing at that point.
Okay.
So in this
So
case, there is no bulk editing all at once when you're selecting
meaning I'm
multiple
not
things.
showing it or we're not gonna
No, no,
have
no.
it.
We're not going to have that. That's not a
Okay.
requirement. Yeah.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. Just wanted to clarify, just because this felt like an edit button, um, but
Well, it
again,
is, but those are the only actions that you can edit on multiple records. You
okay.
can you can change the status from active, inactive. You can clone them. You can bulk
Mm.
archive them. Now actually, let's see here. The bulk update was that in the requirements? Let's see.
It was, on the list. Where's it
We
at?
got bulk update ability to select a column and update to new value. Okay, so that update a column. So that's an interesting one. Um, what you're doing here is actually this is selecting multiple rows, not a
Uh-huh,
column.
okay.
So that's different. Now what's interesting, I thought that requirement was a bit weird and I challenged that um
Mhm.
when speaking to them, and then we ended up killing that. Because if the only thing that we can really update, bulk update, is like status. Um, let me see here. Yeah, because from a program name, that's a name, right? So you don't want to update all and change and have the same name. Like that defeats the purpose, right? So we can't do
Mhm.
that. Last updated is something that is nothing, it's not editable, right? Um,
Right.
optimization KPI, like
That's why
there
I
is
don't
that's what I'm
have a
saying. Like there is no bulk edit really any column. Like it doesn't make any sense. So that's why we killed it. So we're
okay.
definitely gonna ignore that.
So when you say that, is it, getting rid of the drop down entirely
No,
and
no,
just having a
no, bulk update.
or just a bulk update option? Okay.
Because there
Alright
is
then.
outside of changing the status, there's nothing else. There's nothing else to bulk update. Like
Okay.
eligibility constraints, they will all be different based on the
Mhm.
program. So it's no point trying to make all the eligibility constraints the same, really. Um, same thing with experiences. Like everything is unique to the program. So there is nothing to bulk update outside of changing the status from active, inactive. You can bulk duplicate or clone, and you can bulk archive. Those are the
Okay.
only bulk actions that you can take.
Okay. Um, And then what else did I have? And then in the original uh, dashboard, it had said it had these cookie crumb navigation, a
Breadcrumbs,
create new
yeah.
program, or the breadcrumb. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
meant. The create new program button and then a reset button. Are we keeping those? Are we incorporating that into the new design? I didn't see it get mentioned in the Jira ticket also. So
No,
let's
yeah, we're
do
not.
that.
No. Yeah, so
So we're scrapping it.
breadcrumbs wouldn't be in there. No, breadcrumbs wouldn't be in there. Again, just because it's in a screenshot doesn't mean we carry everything over. We have to practice judgment and discernment. Say, hey, is this really
Hmm.
necessary? So breadcrumbs um aren't necessary here.
Okay.
And typically breadcrumbs are a website pattern. What we're doing is a web application. So it's a bit different.
So how do you navigate with the web application?
Well, web applications
When you're a website.
usually have a left navigation.
Uh huh.
So you navigate through pages on the left navigation. There's no
Okay.
need for a breadcrumb.
And those were already there.
Hmm.
So these here.
Exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, it's sometimes people tend to blend, you know, website patterns into web applications.
Hmm.
And in some use cases, that you can get away with that. But in this case, all the navigations on the left, like there's no need. Now, when you're in our case, especially when it comes to a table view, home page is
Hmm.
on the left, and then I go to programs, and now I'm in the programs. And so now I have a table view and a spline view. Like there's no need for breadcrumbs. All the data is right there in our face. It's just we're toggling the view, how we view the data.
Okay. Um, and then the custom and none options for the calendar. So is this just a drop down similar to the status update for the calendar? Or is it like selecting a date?
Um,
What would that look like?
so calendar is not editable, so um there's nothing for us to change or modify there. Um, I believe that is in the requirements. Hold on, let's see here. Yeah, calendar is either custom or none, and that's usually created when you configure or when you create a record. There's
Oh,
a choice to be made. What calendar are you attributing this to? And when you
mhm.
make a change, it'll say custom, and then otherwise it'll be none. So in the table view, there is no editing the calendar column. That's already been configured. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So
I can do that. What else do I have? And then the nested rows. All right. So
yep.
this slowed me down a lot trying to design it. So
Okay.
um, if you go down to the right here, I have it. I have like a big red square
Mm-hmm.
of some examples of nested rows. And so
Yep.
I know that we got targeting group inside of strategies, and strategies are inside of the program, right?
Correct.
And then I guess what is the organization for like how would that look on a table? So I saw examples where like would it be this main row would be a program and you
Mm-hmm.
select it and then a strategy comes out and
Mm-hmm.
then and then you select a targeting group from that strategy, and then the table shows up. So it'll look like this. It'll be like program and then strategy, but they would be staggered, right?
No, no,
And then,
no, 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 no. So you were on the right track until the last part. So this row grouping 1,
yeah.
row grouping 2, that is the program.
Okay.
You open it, and now this buy, sell, sell, buy, those are all underneath the program of row grouping 1, right?
Yeah.
Buy, sell, sell, buy, those are strategies. So now you need to open up a strategy so you could see targeting groups.
Hmm.
So you're going to have double layered of like this, what this is called a carrot, right? Um,
Hmm.
so you're going to need to open sell, and underneath sell, you're going to see targeting groups.
Right. That's what I meant. Like, so it would look something like this, right? So
Yeah.
like program, strategy, targeting group,
Now
and
targeting groups
then
doesn't have nests in them. So it wouldn't be
right.
like that. It wouldn't have a carrot in there. But you're
Would be
exactly right. So this one, this row targeting group right here, that
hmm.
would be the program. Then this row group here, that is the strategy. And then I open up the strategy and I will see targeting groups. And I can have multiple targeting groups inside of a strategy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Um, but that's when you see the table, right? When you're looking
Well,
on
no, all
targeting.
of it's the table. All of it's the table.
Okay.
Yeah, like we're looking at a table right now, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
I
now
guess
each
I'm talking about
row,
the columns.
you said what now?
I guess I'm talking about the columns, right? So you got one whole row with nothing in it, right? Just the title, program.
Well, no, that's what this
Click
is
on it.
showing, but
Okay.
uh-huh. Yeah, that's what this is showing, but you're still gonna have columns, right? Like your programs are still gonna have columns in it.
Hmm.
Um, let me see here. Go. Yeah, so program is a column, and you open up the program and you're gonna see strategies. Then you open
Yeah.
up strategies and you're gonna see targeting groups. But each one of those still have optimization KPIs. They still have last update. They still have status. Like the columns are still going to go across on all of them,
Okay.
right?
Um, so would it so let's say you got program, right? And then you got like the optimization KPI. Um, but that program has like several strategies underneath it. So when you look at the program row, would the optimization KPI, I guess, let's assume they're showing you percentages. Is it a
Mm-hmm.
combined percentage of all of the strategies in that program? And then
No,
once you it'll give you like individual ones or
so when it comes to like optimization KPIs, not all programs will have an optimization KPI. That could be blank.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the
Now,
column is
the column could be blank, but
okay.
as far as last updated status, user limits, like they'll
Yeah.
they'll all have that.
Mhm.
Um, but not all of them will have a KPI. And let me see here. If I look, we did. But yeah, so they will all, they could all have optimization KPI, or it could be blank, right? But as far as the last updated um status, like each strategy will have a last updated date. Each target group will have a last updated date. They will all have a status, they all have user limits, they all have everything. But the only thing that really could be blank is optimization KPI.
Okay. So let me see this. see if this works. So is this what it would look like
It
if
could,
it
yeah, exactly. Yep. Yep, that's
okay.
a way to do it.
It was just confusing. Like I just didn't have a visual.
Mhm.
And I was confused at the organization of like, yeah, the
Yeah.
columns showing up in program and strategy and targeting.
So yeah, you're on the right track here. So this is literally what it could look like. Now, I would tell you, you wanna make sure you delineate between each a little bit better, right?
Yeah,
So maybe that's changing the color of the background of the cells, or
yeah.
maybe for program, maybe they have an indicator bar on the left, and it stretches all the way down to the same height as the strategies and the targeting groups, right?
Mm,
There are a bunch of different ways to do that, but no, you're exactly right here. This the way you have it set up. This is literally what the nested rows look like.
okay. Yeah, because this was um
hmm
nobody
So
had
like,
examples of how to make this. So I'm just like, if I'm gonna be
hmm
making it, I'm gonna have to
yeah, no,
figure it out.
yeah, this is right. And like when I meant like an indicator bar, right? Let me see. Oh, my bad. Hold on. I'll do that. 'Cause I see you got them in auto layout type stuff. So let me just do this.
You don't work in auto layout?
No, I do, but I just noticed how you're doing it. It's fine. So for example, when I meant like indicator bar, right? So for a program, this is how you know that all of these are a part of the same program,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So something to visually show the user, like, hey, these are all a part of the same family, right? These are all part of the same
Mhm.
parent. And then maybe for strategies, you change the color. And then for targeting groups, you change the color. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a bunch of different ways to do it. But that I just want to give you a visual example of like what I meant by the indicator bar.
Okay. Cool, cool, cool. Um, nah, I think that helps a lot on
Mm-hmm.
like clearing it up and designing this table because yeah, like I said, I didn't know if it was gonna be just like a program, then an empty row and then have like little tables underneath every program.
Yeah, no, no. And then, also think about the possibility of, you could add maybe like a title, right? So you expand open the program, and then
Mhm.
maybe there's a little title that says strategies, and then you got the strategy rows, right? Then you open up one strategy, and then there's another title that says targeting groups, and then you got 3 or 4 targeting groups under that. You know what I'm saying? So you can get creative with how you delineate and let the user know, hey, you're inside of a strategy versus you're inside of a targeting group or a program.
Mhm. Okay. Cool, cool, cool.
Cool, but yeah,
Um,
this is looking pretty good.
yeah, I guess just building it will be a bit, but
hmm
this part was just confusing to me.
Oh yeah, I already know. It is confusing, having essentially it's 3 layers deep when it
Yeah.
comes to a drill down of a program. So
Mhm.
that can be, a little bit daunting trying to execute that.
The interaction I think is just gonna be a little tough,
hmm
but
hmm
um, I guess I just wanted to know like the
Yep.
organization of it. Um, and then I also have the pagination
hmm
or pagination. Um, and this was just like a default one that I found. I found a bunch of them where like they had a you can fill it out, fill out the
hmm
page, and it'll take you to that one with an arrow on both sides,
Right.
um, or a drop down. And so I'm just, I guess, what's which is the best way to
I mean,
um,
at that point, it comes down to preference, man. Like
okay.
it really doesn't, there's a million ways to do pagination. It's really a
Mm,
style preference at that point.
Okay.
But the long as there's an ability to change the view, like how many rows that I see in the view. So if it's 10, view 20, view 40, view 100, whatever that is, and then the
Mhm.
actual pages itself. So
Okay.
you have that, but it's a stylistic choice at that point.
All right then. Um, no, I think this is pretty good. Um, I got the info I needed to move forward with this mockup. It's just I was like
Cool.
stuck. I was,
Oh yeah, all good, all good.
and then
Let
designing
me see.
these tables was a lot.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
it
didn't know there
is.
were
And
so many different options, and everybody's like, "Oh, this is the best practice," but then they're all different. So I'm like,
yeah, like
some of them are modern, some of them are like standard blocks.
mm-hmm.
Just,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like you said, I think that just comes to preference. But
Yeah, it just comes down to the style. And then, in so let's say if you're on the job, right? Typically, you know what CSS or development platform that your developers are using to design data visualization like tables and things like that. They will say, hey, we're using Tableau or we're using AG Grid, and then so what you do is you look up the components in Tableau, you look up the components in AG Grid, and so you know what your elements are going to look like. You know what the pagination component is going to look like. Roughly what drop downs are going to look like. Now they can change it from a CSS perspective, but I'm going to tell
yeah,
you, developers aren't going to want to edit too much when it comes to
yeah,
that. Right. So, hey, we're using this out of the box. Sure, we can probably update colors or two, but as far as like styles, we're not going to really touch that. Um, or if you're in a larger company like Wayfair, Google, stuff like that, like what their components are. So
mm.
there's nothing to worry about there. And they more than likely created that from scratch.
And so is this Amplero gonna be using that AG grid? Because I remember it mentioned that in that Jira ticket.
They are using AG Grid, yeah. But what I
So
would say
yeah,
is like I would look up what AG Grid looks like, what their
yeah,
components look like, and just go with that. Now for this project's sake, I'm not like really forcing you to do that, but
okay,
I would say look up what AG Grid's components look like, and then just kind of use that as a starting or a reference when it comes to how you're
okay,
designing it.
okay. No, that
Hmm.
helps just because I was gonna make this table pretty much in new components.
I mean, you can like I said, it's up to you at this point.
Yeah,
But just letting you know, on the job, you will know what your constraints are as far as how you're going to stylistically design components because they will tell you, hey, we're using this, we're using
mm,
that. But in this case, in this instance, hey man, you got free reign as far as how you want to design from a stylistic standpoint.
okay. Cool,
Hmm.
cool, cool. No, I'll
Cool,
look
man.
into for this mock-up and
Cool,
see
cool.
see what's up.
All righty, man. Well, we got like 20 minutes. So what I want to do is just kind of show you some things as far as like access performance and like Zapier. So that way you can just kind of see
Alright,
how to configure some things. So
yeah.
let me go ahead and pull that up. Let's share.
Is it
All right.
live yet, or are you guys still working it out?
So we are still working it out. The only thing left to do now, I'm waiting for him. He just recorded like his videos for his coaches section.
The voice.
So actually it did a couple things. So you saw this already.
Yeah,
But this section I updated. So before it, we didn't have images or imagery
yeah,
here.
mhm.
So now we do.
Plugin.
Yeah, so we do have that now. Um, and then I'm waiting for him. He needs to give me the links so when people click on this, it goes somewhere. So I'm waiting on that. And then this. He just recently recorded his videos for his video ask.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm waiting for him to give me those so I can then create his video ask and then replace it here. And then
Okay.
we're done from a design perspective. We just got to obviously test everything. Um, so one of the things that we have to test really is centered around this here. So it looks pretty crazy. I'll zoom in here in a second, but this is the automated workflow using Zapier for the scenario when after someone goes to his website, they either interact with the chatbot or they click on schedule free consultation. They're going to fill out a form, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
what we did with that form information is we created a Stripe customer. We also added them to an Airtable database for him. And so what we're doing is when they come in for that in-person consultation, they complete the consultation and like, hey, yeah, I want to hire you. What he then does, he pulls out his phone, opens up Microsoft Outlook, goes to the calendar, and then he schedules them for their official start date, right? What
Mm-hmm.
he's going to do with that is, actually, let me center up my screen a little bit. So, what he's going to do is, see, this, let me refresh this page. It's weird. Okay. So, what he's going to do is, if we pull this record right here, so he is going to add their email, right? Invite them to this calendar event, add their email, and then in the notes section, he has to specify as he's talking to them what payment plan they want to subscribe to. Do they want to pay for like per session? So hey, I want to buy 10 sessions, 20 sessions, 30 sessions.
Mm-hmm.
Or do they want to pay for one of his monthly programs, um 80 bucks a month, 100 bucks a month, whatever it is, but he has to put in those keywords into the notes. And so what happens is once he does that, we see right here his notes section from a Zapier perspective is called body preview. So he wrote in the notes section one-on-one axis, and then he just added some extra shit in here. But
Mm-hmm.
what I'm going to tell him is, hey, what you need to do is either say the words like endurance or axis endurance, like the names of his programs. And then what's going to happen is we're going to then take the email that he invited. We're going to look them up on his Airtable, right? And then once we find that person or find that client in his Airtable, we're going to grab their phone number, right? And then what we're going to do is, depending on which keywords he put, we're going to send a Stripe payment link to that phone number.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, for his Axis Endurance, and what you're seeing here is a path step. So I'm gonna add this step right here. What the hell is that? So path, right? What that does, it allows me to then basically create if-then statements. If this happens, take them this way. If this happens,
Mm-hmm.
take them that way. So that's what I did. I'm gonna remove this. So that's what I did here. So, and I renamed it to determine payment link, right? So if, and we go in here for Axis Endurance, here's the conditions. So if the body preview, right, and this is based off of the very first step. So I click this step, and then I look for the information I'm looking for. In this case, body preview, because that's where he's going to type the notes, right? So I select that. Okay. So right here we say if it's text, if it's a number, if it's date and time, or if it's a Boolean, or if something exists or doesn't exist. In this case, we want to say if the text contains the word endurance or the words access endurance, that's our condition, right? So if that happens, send them this payment link. Access Performance has sent you a payment link and it's this Stripe account. And if I go here into his, oh, damn. You see, hopefully it doesn't make me send him
Is Stripe the payment program?
that's his payment processor. So here are his payment links. So Access Endurance, Strong U, 360, and then his per session stuff, right? So I just copied this URL and then I come over here and I say, hey, if he puts in that calendar invite Access Endurance or just the word endurance, I want to send him the endurance payment link, right? And so I will send a test step. And then I just got a text message right here. And then what we get, stop sharing. Let's do that. Quick.
How many cameras you got?
Just two.
Is that what you're doing? You toggling
Yeah.
two cameras?
So here is the text message that I got, right? Access Performance has sent you a link to pay for your next session. And then I click on that. And then boom, there goes that. So that's what we're sending that, and we know that the test worked. So I did that for all his payment plans. So we did that for, Access Endurance, Access Strong, Access 360. Now, these ones are easy because he's only going to need to say the word like Endurance, Strong, U, 360, right? But when we get into these are a little bit more complicated because he has, on a per session basis, he has multiple types. So he has, if he is training one person or if he's training two people. If he's training one person, they can buy 10 session pack, 20 session pack, and a 30 session pack. If he's training two people, they also have a 10, 20, and 30 session pack. Okay, well, now this gets a little bit more complicated. So let's open this up. So you see all these different conditions in here now. It's a lot more complicated because now if he says one, he calls it one-on-one or two-on-one, right? So one-on-one, 10 sessions. But he could also say 1-on-1, 10 sessions. He could also just say 10, right? So I have to account for all the different ways that he might type or input in the notes section of that calendar invite. So I have 1:1, 1-on-1, and then just 1-on-1 without any dashes. So I've covered all the different ways that he might say one-on-one. Does that make sense?
Is this based on what people put into the chat bot?
No, this is
Like
what
they have,
he's no. So if you look here, you see this icon, the Microsoft Word,
yes,
Outlook icon. That's from step one, right? So when he
yeah,
created that calendar invite in the notes section, he's going to put one-on-one 10 sessions, one-on-one 10. So I have to account for the different ways he might say one-on-one 10 sessions,
yeah,
right? He could put a colon in there. He could put one-on-one with dashes, or he could just say one-on-one without dashes. He could also say 10 sessions or just use the number 10. So, and in this case, I actually should put number. Well, no, because see, I don't want greater than or nothing. So I'm just going to leave that at text. but he could say 10, he could say 10
Mhm.
sessions. There's multiple variants of what he can say. So I have to account for that. And so same thing when it comes to 20 sessions, right? If I go to 2-on-1, he could put 2:1, 2-on-1, or 2-on-1. So I've covered all the bases on how he would say something. And so now when I meet with him again, we'll run a test. So I'll have him create a Microsoft Outlook invite, put my email in there. I've created myself as an entry in his database. So
Mhm.
it'll go find me, it'll pull my number, and then I have him say, all right, just put the words 360 in there, or just put the words Access 360. All right, now let's do 2-on-1 10 session. Let's do 2-on-1 3. Like I will have him test out all the ways he would say it. And then
Mhm.
if the link gets sent, then we know it worked. So I built
Dope.
all that for him. The next time we'll meet up, we'll test all this out. Now, the only thing you see this icon right here, like this warning sign, is because we
Yeah.
have one that's empty. So this one, this access U is going to be a little bit tricky because his access U depends on a lot. So access U is can be 2 days a week or up to 4 days a week for training, right?
Mhm.
Um, so I need to come up with the right mechanism to be able to correctly specify what is he configuring here. Now, the problem is though, he's that one is looking like he's probably gonna have to do something manual for this because here in Access U, it could have several different prices depending on what they choose. So he may have to do something where it's just manual. But I have to dive a little bit deeper into what he's thinking a little bit more just to get that right. Because there is a way within Stripe where you can put multiple different prices onto a product. And it can be triggered by a certain time. It could be triggered by like a discount. So I need to square that away with him. Now personally, I would like to see him get rid of that because I honestly think he has way too many options. Um,
Mhm.
I just I don't know what the majority of his people choose. I don't know if they choose on a per session basis or on a monthly basis, but I what's crazy is he had five. This you notice you see this stuff is like deactivated. This was
Yeah.
all what he had originally. I'm like, dude, this is way too much. Like, cut this down. So
Mhm.
he had 1, 2, 3, 4. And then what it is, he had five programs. And what I
In the
did was
beginning.
I took all five programs, put it in Chat GPT, and was like, look, analyze these, find the similarities and the differences, and if we can shorten these to three. And sure
Mhm.
enough, because I'm like, some of these look like it's like damn near the exact same program. It's just like reworded a little bit different. And that's what it found out. It was like two of them are redundant. Like you can combine these and we can shorten it to just three programs. So that's what we have here. Endurance
Endurance.
used to be two things. Extra strong used to be two separate things, but we combined them. So I think to me, it should just be 2, 3, or 4. I don't think we should have a 2 to 4 here because we already have this covered. We have a 3 covered. We have a 4 covered. Why not just make this a 2 and then just call it a day? That's
Mhm.
is what I'm going to suggest. And if he agrees with that, then this would be easy because at that point, we just leave it at you or access you, and then I can create one payment link that's just for 2 days a week. So he's covered all his bases. He got 2 days a week, 3 days a week, 4 days a week. So that's what I'm going to suggest to him. I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure he's gonna agree because again, only doing this to simplify his tracking.
Yeah.
So I think he's gonna agree to that. So that's what I'm gonna suggest to him.
Dope, dope. And so
But
right
yeah,
now, is that Access U the only one that's not automated? Everything
yeah,
else.
and that's why that warning sign is there. So once I fill that in, it'll go to a green check, and then I can
Mhm.
turn this on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the whole
So,
point of all this,
mhm,
right? Just to automate.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so if we go here to his, again, we got just three workflow automations for right now. This
Mhm.
top one is obviously in the case where they interact with a chatbot, they
Yeah.
asking it a frequently asked questions and it doesn't have the answer. So we got
Mhm.
that taken care of. This one is, we've tested the lead one several times. It's just the minute you answer all those questions in the form, it sends him a text message, say, hey, you got a new lead, give them a call. And then
Mhm.
it adds them into a database. It creates a Stripe customer. And so that allows me to do this last one where the minute he creates that calendar, I can go look them up in Airtable and find their information and then send them a text for the payment link. So that's the last thing that is needed to finish out this workflow automation. Um,
Mhm.
if I go edit draft, edit existing. Yeah. So that's the only thing I got left. I'm gonna suggest to him, hey man, let's just make this Axis U just 2 days a week, and then
Mhm.
we've got everything covered. And then we'll test it out, have him create a couple of these. I'm probably gonna actually put like some fake customers in the database so it's not just me. But we obviously we know that it works that way, but I just want to make sure that he uses a different email and it pulls the right phone number.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, so this is work. So we're literally, I would say this is probably like 95% like done. Once I get this done, I get the links for the website for these here. Actually all three of these. And then I get his videos to create his own coaches section. And then we're gonna the site is live, but it's password protected. So once I get all that done, we'll remove the password protection, and then he can tell people to start going to his site.
Does he already have clients, or is he
Yeah,
gonna
he has
start?
clients already.
Okay. Cool, cool,
Hmm.
cool.
Yeah. So that's the automations and the last tweaks that I need to make to his website.
Nice, nice.
Cool, cool, man. Yeah, I'm ready to get this one out the door. But I'm also going to be monitoring things from behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? So just to make
Mhm.
sure that nothing breaks and I got everything good. And then, like I said, the goal is to get him on a longer term contract where I can, as I learn new techniques and things like that, I can update his automations and make things cheaper and more efficient.
Mhm. Nah, I'm hyped to see it, man. It's
Hmm.
having to be in the early stages. It'll be dope to see it.
Yeah, yeah.
See it
So,
live.
that's it, man. So, next week I'll check you out, see what you complete, and at this point, really, I think so. You're kind of finalizing the wireframe at this point. So I would
Yeah.
imagine probably next week we'll be into a mock-up stage,
Mhm.
and then we'll kind of
I'm gonna try
nitpick.
to be.
mock-up.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah,
aiming for.
gotcha. Yeah, we'll see where you are, but my guess is you're probably in the mock-up stage at that point. So
Mhm.
we'll see where we are. We'll nitpick some things and then,
Yeah.
kind of make sure you're good to go with that.
Dope, dope.
All righty, man. I'll
I
talk to you
appreciate
next
it, man.
week.
All right, man. Take it
All
easy.
right. Peace.